Hello, my name is Jiso and I'm reading Master Dōgen's Shōbōgenzō, and we've reached chapter 79, Ango, the Retreat. We're going to be on this chapter for a while, it's quite long. An means peaceful and go means reside. The word Ango refers to the 90-day summer retreat. In India, the rainy season lasts about 3 months in the summer. Buddhists in ancient India used this time for intensive practice of zazen, and this period was called Vasika in Sanskrit. Vasika. The tradition was passed to China, and when Master Dōgen went to China, he experienced the concrete, concentrated practice of zazen for 3 months in the summer. He felt it his mission to introduce this tradition to Japan. My late master Tendo Nyojo, the Eternal Buddha, says in informal preaching at the beginning of a summer retreat, stacking our bones upright on the flat earth, we each dig a cave in space. Directly we pass through the gate of dualism and grasp hold of a black lacquered tub. In other words, we act in the present moment, it says in the footnote. This being so, those who have got this ring through the nose still inevitably eat meals and stretch out the legs to sleep, and have been at just this place for 30 years. Because we are like this already, we waste no time in putting tools in place. One such tool is the 90-day summer retreat. It is the brains and the real features of the Buddhas and the patriarchs, and it has been directly experienced by their skin, flesh, bones and marrow. Picking up the eyeballs and the brains of Buddhist patriarchs, we have made them into the days and months of the 90-day summer retreat. Our summer retreat is just another name for Buddhas and patriarchs. The summer retreat, start to finish, is Buddhist patriarchs themselves. Beyond this, there is no additional inch of soil and no great earth. A summer retreat is neither new nor old. It is beyond coming and going. Its dimensions are the dimensions of a fist, and its characteristics are the characteristics of a ring through the nose. At the same time, because we begin the summer retreat, it comes having blocked out space and no 10 directions are left over. And because we finish the retreat, it goes, tearing the whole earth asunder, and no inch of soil remains. For this reason, when the reality of the start of the summer retreat is realized, it seems to come, and when the restrictions of the end of the summer retreat are broken, it seems to go. Even though it is like this, the fact is only that some adherents to the state of direct experience are each coming into contact with the start and the finish. For thousands of miles, there is not an inch of grass. In reality, there is nothing to lead us astray, says the footnote. Give me back the money I paid for the 90 days of meals. Master Oryo Shishin says, having trod the way of a mountain monk for 30-odd years, I see 90 days as a summer. To add a day is impossible. To subtract a day is impossible. So the insight glimpsed by the eyes of 30-odd years as a wayfarer is simply that 90 days make one summer retreat. If we consider adding a day, the 90 days will come back vying with each other. To be the extra day, says the footnote. If we consider subtracting a day, the 90 days come back vying with each other to avoid being subtracted, says the footnote. We must never spring free from the cave of 90 days. The real meaning of this springing free is using the cave of 90 days as hands and feet to engage only in springing itself. To see 90 days as a summer is a tool of our lineage. At the same time, because the Buddhist patriarch did not personally decide it by himself, the tradition has been authentically received by Buddhas and by patriarchs rightful successor to rightful successor until today. Therefore, to meet a summer retreat is to meet the Buddhas and the patriarchs. To meet a summer retreat is to realize Buddha and to realize the state of a patriarch. The summer retreat has long since become a Buddhist patriarch. In this 90 days makes a summer, though the measurement of time is a cerebral measurement, it is beyond only 1 kalpa or 10 kalpas and beyond only 100,000 countless kalpas. Other times are used up by the hundreds of thousands of countless kalpas. The 90 days command the use of the hundreds of thousands of countless kalpas. Therefore, though the hundreds of thousands of countless kalpas realize Buddha when they meet the 90 days are not always connected with kalpas. This being so, we should learn in practice that 90 days makes a summer is just a measurement of the I. The retreat as body and mind is also like this. The fact that the summer retreat commands the use of the state of vigorous activity, and the fact that the summer retreat has sprung free from the state of vigorous activity have their origins and their bases. Even so, the summer retreat has not come here from another place and another time, and it does not originate from just this place and just this time. Footnote on origins is the Buddha's order. Footnote on bases is the Buddhist tradition. When we grasp their origins, the 90 days come at once. When we grope for their basis, the 90 days come at once. The common and the sacred have seen these 90 days as their caves and as their very lives, but the 90 days have far transcended the state of the common and the sacred. The 90 days are beyond thinking discrimination, they are beyond non-thinking discrimination, and they are not confined to the state beyond thinking and non-thinking. The world-honoured one preached the Dharma to an assembly in the country of Magda. Footnote, an ancient state in central India, stretching along the southern bank of the Ganges, with its capital in Rajagra. It was in Magda that the Buddha realized the truth and first turned the Dharma wheel. Thank you. Preached in the Dharma in assembly in the country of Magda. Then, wanting to begin a 90-day summer retreat, he said to Ananda, "To the great disciples and to gods and human beings of the 4 classes, I am constantly preaching the Dharma, but they do not have the reverence or admiration for it. I shall now go inside the Indra Saila Guha chambers and practice a 90-day summer sitting. If someone should appear and ask to hear the Dharma, you should preach the following to them in my place. All dharmas are beyond appearance, all dharmas are beyond disappearance." Having spoken, he closed the chambers and sat. 90-day summer retreat is literally the white summer, where white can be interpreted as suggesting the bright and sunny situation of summer, the purity of effort during the retreat, and the character for 100 minus the character of 1, representing the number 90 in 1 character instead of the usual 2. It's a thinker. Ananda was the Buddha's disciple and half-brother who later succeeded Master Mahakasyapa and became the second patriarch of India. The human beings of the 4 classes are monks, nuns, laymen, laywomen. The Indra Saila Guha chambers represent the sound of the Sanskrit Indra Saila Guha, literally Indra's stone hideaway, 5 temples on Vulture Peak. And closed the chambers and sat. Similar sentences can be found in the Shōbōgenzō Yosho Kyo, the Sutra of the Collected Essential Teachings of the Buddhas, Part 1. Since then, 2,194 years have already passed. That's very precise. It is now the third year of the Japanese era of Kangen, 1245. Descendants who do not enter the inner sanctum have often seen the Buddha's closing himself away in the chambers in Magda as evidence of his preaching without words. Wrong groups today solely think as follows. Long quote coming up. The Buddha's intention in closing the chambers and doing a summer sitting is that to rely upon preaching with words is not completely real, but as an expedient means. The ultimate truth is the cutting of speech and the disappearance of the intellectual function. For this reason, to be without words and without intellect may fit the ultimate truth. To have words and to have images in the mind is different from the truth. For this reason, during the 90-day summer sitting in closed chambers, the Buddha cut himself off from human traces. Close quote. The assertion of these people have insulted the world-honoured one's Buddhist intention. If we discuss the cutting of speech and the disappearance of the intellectual function, all livelihoods and industries are the cutting of speech and the disappearance of the intellectual function. The cutting of speech, meaning all speech, and the disappearance of the intellectual function, meaning all intellectual functions. Footnote, Master Dōgen did not deny the value of transcending speech and transcending intellectual thinking, but he criticized the relative interpretation of the wrong groups. Furthermore, this story is not originally for the purpose of venerating the state without words. The thoroughly realized body solely drags through mud and stays in the water and goes into weeds, never shirking to preach the Dharma and to save people, and never shirking to turn the Dharma and to salvage things. If people who call themselves the Buddha's descendants say the 90-day summer sitting is the absence of verbal preaching, I would like to tell them, give the 90-day summer sitting back to me. The Buddha directs Ananda to preach on his behalf, saying, you should preach the following in my place. All dharmas are beyond appearance, all dharmas are beyond disappearance. We should not vacantly pass over this behavior of the Buddha. In sum, how could we see his closing the chambers and practicing a summer sitting as being without words and not preaching? Suppose, for the present, that at this time Ananda were to address the world-honoured one as follows. How should I preach that all dharmas are beyond appearance and all dharmas are beyond disappearance? Even if I preach like this, what must I do? So saying, he would listen to the world-honoured one's words. In general, the present instance of the Buddha's behaviour is itself the philosophy of supreme meaning, and the philosophy of the supreme state of being without, which preach the Dharma and turn the Dharma. Philosophy of supreme meaning is the philosophy which is number one in meaning, or the consummate philosophy. Appears elsewhere in Shōbōgenzō. And the supreme state of being without is the philosophy which is number one in absence. This phrase is Master Dōgen's variation. We should never see it as evidence of preaching without words. If we see it as preaching without words, the situation may be described as, it is pitiful that the 3-foot dragon spring sword is idly hanging on the wall of the to household as a weaving shuttle. What? Oh, a man called To-in from the Shin district fished out of from Raitaku Lake what he thought to be the shuttle of a loom. He carried it home, hung it on his wall. Then one day during a thunderstorm it turned into a dragon and ascended to the sky, for it was in fact the precious dragon spring sword. So he was called To. I couldn't understand why To, the word to, suddenly appeared with a capital in that sentence. It is pitiful that the 3-foot dragon spring sword is idly hanging on the wall of the To household as a weaving shuttle. Right. In conclusion, the 90-day summer sitting is the eternal turning of the Dharma wheel, and it is eternal Buddhist patriarchs themselves. In the present story, there are the words, then wanting to begin a 90-day summer retreat. Remember, that which is unavoidably practiced in 90 days Remember, that which is unavoidably practiced is 90 days of sitting in a summer retreat. Those who shirk it are non-Buddhists. In general, while the world-honoured one is in the world, he sometimes practices the 90-day retreat in Trayastrimsha heaven, and he sometimes practices the retreat together with 500 bhiksus within quiet chambers on Mount Gruta. Impronounceable word. Vulture Peak, it says. Let me just call it that. Through the 5 lands of India, without discussing a particular place, when the time comes, they retire for the 90-day summer retreat, and the 90-day retreat is practiced. It is practiced by the Buddhist patriarchs of the present as the single most important matter. It is the supreme truth of practice and experience. Though the winter retreat is mentioned in the Pure Net Sutra, its method has not been transmitted. Only the method of the 90-day summer retreat has been transmitted, and the authentic transmission is immediately present in the 51st generation. Master Dōgen is the 51st patriarch, counting Master Maya Kasyapa as the first. The Pure Net Sutra, in Sanskrit the Brahmajala Sutra, a precept sutra for monks and nuns, listing the 10 serious prohibitions and 48 less serious precepts. Buddhists love lists, don't we? Right, I'm going to leave it there and we'll come back to it next time. Thank you for listening. Take care.